For years, John and Angie Collier saved.
Oh, this is nice.
Eager to buy a first home in Fishers, Indiana, attracted by the good schools and proximity to work. But pursuing the American dream has proved daunting.
Sometimes we'll be on our way to look at a house. Oh, no need to. It's already impending. Ouch, okay. And sometimes you see a house that you really like, and you're touring it, you're getting excited about it, you begin to get you start picturing yourself living in it, you put in that offer, and you think, oh, let's go ahead and put in that great offer. Oh, sorry, outbid.
Fishers, named by Money Magazine one of the best places to live, is part of a national trend, as real estate investment groups buy houses in cash and rent them out, in some cases, to the very families who dreamed of owning them. In January, 33% of all homes purchased in the U.S. were investor-owned.
Did you know you were going up against big investors?
Yeah, we definitely, hear about it, but you don't really understand it all until you're in it.
The Colliers currently rent in a town near Fishers from one of the nation's biggest house rental companies. Their rent recently raised 8%.
Hi.
4 times in recent weeks, they've been outbid by investors with all-cash offers.
It's becoming more and more challenging to even get out of the renting game. So imagine you've saved up all this money so you can put your down payment, realize you don't have enough, and then you have to stay in the renter's game. But how do you save an extra $10,000 to $20,000 on top of your down payment when you're spending $2,000, $2,200 a month just to rent?
So these companies have you on both ends.
Yeah, it's definitely a conundrum. We are right where is good for their business.
In some Fishers neighborhoods, investors own more than half of the homes, according to realtor Laura Turner.
What's happening in this neighborhood?
This is one of the neighborhoods that investors have really targeted as far as buying in here. So brand new construction, they're coming in, they're buying it at cash, and then they're going to hold them as rentals.
And that could be for as long as 20, 30 years.
Absolutely.
It's driving the rental market up, and families are at times left paying more in rent than they would in a mortgage.
You have these global investors that come into this market, and they don't necessarily have an invested interest in this community necessarily to give back, such as a homeowner would.
Are they present, or is it families, real people, up against a sort of faceless opponent?
When they're in a bidding situation in a war, most often they're not present.
Pressures mounting on Fishers Mayor Scott Fadness. His office held a community roundtable, but without laws or ordinances in place to protect aspiring owners, a quick fix is hard to find.
I believe in capitalism, but when Wall Street decided to commoditize our homes, the asset that the majority of Americans have accrued their wealth in, that have invested their life savings in, I think that's a real problem for Fishers, and I think it's a real problem nationally. We're going to shut out an entire generation of people from the ability to own and see the appreciation of that asset for their family and their future generations.
Have you been able to talk to any of these companies?
It's very difficult. So take, for instance, if you have a high grass and weed issue, a code enforcement issue, to try to find an individual that cares about that particular issue, it's very, very difficult. I mean, if they own 4,000 homes, who is the individual that you can go talk to about a specific problem?
Do you feel like your hands are tied at all?
In the immediate term, yes, other than communicate effectively and try to work with our HOAs. But we're constantly evaluating what public policy path we should take and how can we advocate from a legislative perspective to change this.
In a statement, the National Rental Home Council said NRHC member companies own just a fraction of the homes throughout the state of Indiana, and that its 5 largest member companies maintain an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau. Builder Steve Lanes argues rental companies aren't taking away possibilities from families, but in many cases, creating them.
This is a new phenomenon. This is not something that, especially in the heartland of America, we've experienced. So I think we're all going to have to learn and grow what that means and what that looks like.
In the past, people thought of investors as usually coming in and buying distressed properties, turning them around, fixing them up. But that's not what's happening now. They're buying beautiful single-family homes.
There are a segment of people who are no longer able to buy a home because they can't afford that home, but they don't want to be in an apartment. They're looking for those opportunities to rent in those communities.
We've spoken to families who say it's getting harder and harder for them to make the American dream happen. When you work with investors, are you complicit in that?
I hear regularly from members of ours, builder members of ours, who say, I refuse to work with a group of investors.
The Collier's kids can't wait to paint the walls their favorite colors, have a bigger yard. But getting outbid time and again has led a frustrated mom and dad to give up on any hope of living in Fishers.
Because whether you think they are or not, they're listening and they're feeling that tension. So it's not just hard on us, it's hard on the entire family when you're going through that. The dinner table is different. Car rides are different. Emotions are stressful. And you got to be able to just think about how they're experiencing this, because these are going to be memories that they're going to remember.
Is the American dream still accessible?
I think the American dream is changing. Our society may be going in that direction where we are getting further away from ownership, but I don't think it's the right direction. So we can sit over here.
They've put a bid on a home in a town outside of Fishers, a farther drive from work than they'd hoped.
I'm really excited about this.
Their American dream, modified, not broken. Antonia Hylton, NBC News, Fishers, Indiana.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.